Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. My name is Evan McCauley, president of the club, and we are thrilled to have you joining us today. This meeting broadcast is available on HCTV as well as our Rotary of Hudson YouTube channel. Our club meets weekly at Laurel Lake for breakfast on Wednesday mornings from 7:15 to 8:30 a.m. Come out and join us for a meeting. We'd love to have you as a guest. To learn more about Rotary, our club, and the impact that we are having on the local community and world, please visit rotaryhudson.org. Enjoy the meeting today and be the inspiration.
All right.
Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Hudson. I'm Ron Strobel, Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation this morning is by Jim Ahern.
Phil?
Oh, Dad.
I can't have this.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Bow your heads. Eternal Father of all of us, we come together in this hour as a grateful people. Grateful for the life that you have given to each of us. Grateful for this land of the free in which we live, for the faith of our fathers whose vision is both our heritage and our hope. Grateful for the high aspiration of world brotherhood, which is our challenge in work, worship, governance, and this worldwide Rotarian fellowship. Grateful that we might, as Rotarians, apply all that we are in service to our fellow man. For all these, we offer to you our thanks as we share these moments at our table as your people. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Jim. And lead us in the pledge and the four-way test. That's Hogan.
Welcome, Rotarians.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Four-way test. First.
Is it the truth?
Second.
Is it fair to all concerned?
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
I don't know why somebody thinks the eagle should be facing that direction instead of this direction. To lead us in song, Chris Barker.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Join me in singing God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my own sweet home. God bless America, my own sweet home.
Thank you.
And we introduce our guests.
Yes, Rotarians, if you'll please join me in giving a nice warm Rotary greeting to our couple of guests today. We have our new Rotary Youth Exchange student, Serena. If you would please stand so we can give you a warm Rotary welcome. I believe she's here until July. And then I noticed Pat Myers snuck in. So Pat, your official title, is it?
District Governor-elect.
Oh, District Governor-elect. Thanks for joining us again, Pat.
Okay, one item of business which I will take care of before we turn it over to Tom. And on your tables is a description of the All Sports Pass, which didn't make it into the gala this year, but it's 2 passes, 2 very, very good seats to all of the sporting events at Hudson High School, including a parking pass. Fair market value is $500, so I'm open to an opening bid of $100 or more.
I'll bid 100.
Got 100 here.
I'm just gonna weigh in that parking pass is worth gold.
Got 100. Do we have 125? Back there, 125, 150.
150.
Got 150 here. 175. We have 175 in the back. 200. 200. Going 3 times. 200. It's 175 to Sue Carter. And we had a sealed bid, but it's lower than that. Thank you, Sue. Okay, and now our president, Tom Tobin.
Rob, I'm afraid if you ring the bell, everyone's gonna leave. Hey, I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. What a great turnout this morning. You're making me look really good in front of our district governor who's joining us today. But we'll get to that in a moment. Couple of pieces of business. Let's see. First of all, could I invite Pat Shearer up to give us a report on Art on the Green?
All right. Yeah, how many hot dogs? We only made $5 of it.
We have the financial results from the financial firm of Ben. Ben. So
And his
we
other
took
brother.
in $2,526 at our booth, Art on the Green. Expenses were $846.95, so we had a profit of $1,679. That beats our last 3 year. It's the highest of our last 3 years. Last year we did 1120. We netted 1127. In 2017 we did 1308, and in 2016 apparently was not a good year because of rain. We only made 687. So it was a good year financially. Want a special shout out to Andy Morse for his huge grill that was a big benefit to us being able to produce all those hot dogs and brats for the area. And Art in the Green is a fundraiser for us, but it's also one of the times where we're out in the public and we get our club out there, and and our club is seen in the community. So thank you for all donating your 2.5 hours of time, and whether you were opening buns or grilling. And don't let the mayor tell anybody that he can't grill hot dogs and brats. He's an exceptional griller, so he did a great job. So thank you, everybody.
I know Jim Hackney's quite a chef master too. Hey, by the way, Pat, I mean, it's so funny, like we do this thing for 20 years or whatever it is, I don't know how long it's been. But I mean, Pat introduces like a new way for us to deal with the hot dogs, where we're putting them in the hot water and everything like that, so they don't turn into, beef jerky or. Yeah. Beef jerky is maybe a little too kind, yeah, for what our hot dogs used to turn into, and the brats too. So thank you. All right. Let's see. Could we have Marilyn? Could I have you come on up with a very special guest today? Ooh, the blazer.
Hello.
What is this?
My name is Serena. I'm from Spain, and I'm an exchange student.
That's right. So Serena?
Yes.
Serena, right? Okay, Serena. Help us out with your last name again, Serena.
Húngaro. Okay. Húngaro Abrita.
Húngaro Abrita.
Y'all got that, right?
Yeah. All right, let me test her problem. So, Serena is our Rotary Exchange student for this year.
She will be living with 3 families. She's currently living with the Ackerman family. So they're over north of the high school. She loves biking. That we know already. And I asked her this morning if there was anything much that she missed from home other than her mother's cooking, and it sounds like she's doing very well here. So she has an older brother who is studying to be a firefighter, but she lives with her mom, dad, and a dog. So it's a pleasure to welcome her. She's having a great time at school. She's a senior. She was 17 on July 1st, and we've loaded her schedule. She's taking physics and chemistry and math and a tech class, which is fun for her. She did go running with the cross-country team and then discovered just how far they run, so.
This is fun because if I understand, a lot of the Rotary, is Rotary Youth Exchange, is that what I think, a Rotary Youth Exchange, they're not always attending school. Sometimes they attend school, but sometimes they've graduated from their high school and they're here on almost like a
gap year.
Gap year.
Actually, that was the case last year with Leah. She had already finished and taken her senior exams and accepted a college in Brussels. So when she came to the United States, she was just 18, but at the same time, she was still taking classes at our high school. And she took things that were really fun for her, like sociology, psychology. She helped with the French classes there. So she was very, very well integrated into the school. When you ask the students, what's the difference between American schools and their schools, she says we're just friendly. So that's a wonderful thing to be saying about us at this point. So, but we have a few things for her today.
We do. We have two items, as you see. Serena has her beautiful blue blazer on, which all of our Rotary Youth Exchange students have. And we have a couple of pins that we'd like to add to her collection here. Now, one of them is the pin for the Rotary year pin, I guess you'd call it, which has our message, Rotary connects the world. And we'd like to give her this pin, if you will, Marilyn. Okay. And then, and because Serena is a Hudson High School student this year, Mr. Herman provided me with a letter pin, the big H letter pin for Serena.
All right.
Where would you like the big H? How about on top? Can I put it there?
Yes.
You can replace it if you want to, but wear it with pride, Serena. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Tom, Serena, Tom, can we have Serena point out where she lives?
Oh, Serena, would you show us? Just point it out.
I live here.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Are you tennis fans? Is Rafa Nadal from?
No, it's from Spain, yes.
He's Spain, but it's one of the islands, isn't it? Or?
No.
Oh, okay. He's mainland. Okay. All right. All right. So Serena will be back at a future meeting to tell us a little bit more about her family, her life in Spain, and her experiences here in Hudson. So, all right. So let's see. Next on the agenda, I would like to, first of all, acknowledge the attendance of Assistant District Governor Pat Myers at our meeting this morning. Pat, it's wonderful to have you. And if I may, I would like to, at this point, introduce our speaker today, who is our District Governor, John Reys. Now, John is a partner and trial lawyer with, which I learned is different than a litigator, with Buckingham, Doolittle, and Burroughs. He's been with them for 41 years. His home club is the Akron Club. And John is transitioning from becoming an attorney to becoming a Rotarian in every sense of it. He says he's down to maybe about 3 billable hours a week as an attorney, and the rest of it is being a Rotarian and just drinking Rotary Blue, I think. So,
It's the Kool-Aid.
the Kool-Aid. We are very happy to have him this morning. I want you all to remember what Ron taught us last week about the protocol for when we introduce the District Governor, John Reys.
Excellency,
I said no ring kissing today, so.
Your Honor will do fine. Actually, Tom, if you would stay here
Yes.
with me for a minute. Before I start my official remarks, I am particularly honored to be in attendance today to present, or help present really, a special recognition entitled the Rotary Unsung Hero Award. I noticed that you let that secret out of the bag on your website. Nobody else did that. None of the other clubs I came to knew this award was going to be given. I thought I got a chuckle out of that. But the award is designed for your club president, not for me, but for the club president to pay tribute to someone whose special service to Rotary has placed them in a category all of their own. Someone, really, whose dedication and commitment to Rotary has been without reservation, and seeking no credit or recognition, only wishing to make this a better world through their service. Many times this service is unsung, behind the scenes. Generally, this kind of a Rotarian does not have the word no in their vocabulary, and I'm under the clear understanding that that fits the winner today. For Tom, your president, this was not an easy decision, that is who was the most deserving, but ultimately there was only one choice. And I'm going to turn it back over to Tom to tell you who the award winner is and why.
Okay. John, you're right, it wasn't easy because we have so many folks in this club that are so deserving of this award. But I did ask our board to submit names, and the name that I received the most was for Ron Barnhouse. Ron, let's see, Ron, as you all know, Ron is been a backbone of the orchestration of the audio-visual aspects of our meeting, and not just the audio-visual, but every aspect of the setup and takedown of this meeting. I wish Tom Page was here this week because Tom is the leader of our cadre of put up and take down folks. Would appreciate Ron probably the most of any of us. But Ron comes here every week, does the work quietly, works hard. You know, when everyone else is having a great time chatting with each other and kidding and joking after the meeting, Ron's working away, just getting the work done, and he, you know, he knocks me out with his contribution. So I would like to thank Ron. Ron, would you come on up here, please? Okay. Okay. Governor John, would you please read what's inscribed on this certificate for me?
It would be my privilege. Presented to Ron Barnhouse, this citation is awarded with deep appreciation in honor and recognition of your exemplary service to the Rotary Club of Hudson and its members as 2019-2020 Rotary Unsung Hero, dated this 4th day of September 2019, and I actually signed it, on behalf of a grateful Rotary International District 6630. Congratulations.
Yes? I'm not letting you go, Ron. We got
No off time.
That's a good one? All right, good. All right, thanks, Ron. All right. John, take it away.
Well, actually, I hope not to take it away. I thought I'd stick around. I do need to thank you very much for the invitation. It is both an honor and a pleasure to be here today. I was pleasantly surprised when you put this up on your website, and then I saw the attendance this morning that people actually came. It's pretty good. Some clubs have a special way of inviting the district governor. I recently was invited to a club. They sent me the directions, where to be, when to be there, and what have you. And I arrived, and I won't tell you where, but it was in Paynesville. And I drove into Paynesville, and I pulled into the parking lot of the address, and it was the Goodwill facility. There were no cars there. There were no people there. There was no restaurant there. So I thought, this is a little odd. So I called the club president. You learn to have, I have Tom's number on speed dial, so to speak, and every club president for that matter. And I got the club president and said, gee, is this the right day? Am I in the right place? And Bob Fratino is the assistant governor for that cluster, and I hear Bob in the background saying, oh, whatever, I gave him the wrong address. They had me across town. So this one worked out really well. I knew where to come, what time to be here, and I really appreciate that. This address has a couple of purposes, all right? And probably the most important purpose is I actually serve as the representative for the Rotary International president, and a major part of my job is to deliver the key part, at least, or key parts of his message. And that, frankly, is why I'm here. We're embarking, and in fact, now we're pretty well embarked upon a new Rotary year. As we've already discussed, hopefully I got to everybody with a pin. If not, I have more and catch you at the end. But we're embarking upon the year where President Mark Maloney has selected the theme of Rotary Connects the World. He really has one message, one goal, and it revolves around membership. He wants Rotary clubs to expand their reach, expand their impact, and sees the best way to do that is by finding more of us. And frankly, that's not easy to do, right? So I thought maybe the way we would approach this is to kind of pause for a minute and reflect. All right? So let's kind of slow down a little bit, breathe a little bit, take a sip of coffee if that helps you slow down, and let's reflect on some very basic facts. And I suspect once I've gone through these facts, everybody in the room already knows them. All right? Or if not, you've at least been exposed to them. So as we start this new Rotary year, all right, I think it's important that we remind ourselves as Rotarians that we are members of the largest non-political, non-religious organization in the world. Founded in 1905, Rotary is the oldest, the most international, and most emulated service club in the world, or organization. The Rotary Foundation is the largest completely privately funded foundation in the U.S. There are, in fact, over 1.2 million Rotarians in the world, organized into over 35,000 clubs in over 170 countries. And to that, we need to remember to add over 470,000 Rotaract and Interact club members and an additional 200,000 clubs. This leads at least me to a conclusion. And that conclusion is basic, right? Rotary is a unique international organization. And because of its unique nature, it is capable of performing great things. And as we reflect, I think we should reflect on some of those great things for a reason. Let's go back in time, 75 years. 75 years ago, World War II was coming to an end. The world was looking for a way to organize its international affairs for the future to avoid the disasters of the past. The approach, the method selected was the creation of the United Nations. We need to remember that Rotarians were involved in the creation of that organization. Rotarians signed that charter. And Rotarians have a seat at that table today. It's not hard to find some other great accomplishments of Rotary. Move forward to the mid-70s, the early 80s, the world still suffered 350,000 or more new cases of polio every year. Due to the dedication, the effort, the generosity, and the just plain refusal to quit, if you look at where we are at today, at the end of the last Rotary year, there were less than 3 dozen cases of polio in the world. If you've been reading your emails, you know within the past 2 weeks, Nigeria was essentially declared polio-free, not having had a case in the past 3 years. Due in large part to our collective effort and collective leadership, we are on the brink of accomplishing something that will only have been done 2 times in human history, and that is eradicating a disease. These are things that we have done. I think we should reflect upon that and recall that. But there's more to reflect upon and recall. Every Rotary club undertakes similar community-changing activities. And of course, the Rotary Club of Hudson is no exception. In fact, you are a prime example. Your assistance to Hattie Laurelum, your assistance to Hudson Special Olympics, your scholarships, which as I understand it total over $250,000 since you've created your foundation. These kinds of things are our incredible gift to mankind. It is not too much to say that Rotarians change the world. And it's probably more accurate to say, in many respects, that local Rotary clubs change their communities one project at a time. And that is something that you do, that you should be proud of, I think you should reflect upon, and I think it's a legacy we all need to recall and act upon this Rotary year and every Rotary year. Now, maybe we should move from reflection to potential action. Because as much fun as it is to look at history, we really are concerned about what's going to happen next, right? Well, then I just figure out, frankly, how to approach that, right? And all this time for this great opening, right? And nobody left, thank you, I appreciate that. So how do we approach the next step? And that is really, what are we going to do with the Rotary year and years to come? Well, this is the part where becoming a lawyer became an overwhelming problem for me. I've been a lawyer for over 41 years. As Tom so ably put it, I'm a trial lawyer. I spent a lot of time in the courtroom. As my children would tell you, I think like a lawyer, act like a lawyer, talk like a lawyer, and I have a lawyer's sense of humor. Yeah, the latter means they don't have one. But lawyers, of course, especially trial lawyers, tend to ask questions, right? Spend a lot of time in front of a jury, a lot of time in front of witnesses asking questions. We like cross-examination, right? That's what we do. We like demonstrative evidence. And Tom is not yet, but he's next to the demonstrative evidence. We'll get to that in a little bit. It's if you can't read it, but it's even marked with plaintiff's exhibit stickers, because that's the only thing we have at the law firm. We don't have other kind of materials. So it leads me as a lawyer to the first, I think, critical question for the coming year. And that is, how will you individually approach the coming year? How will you approach the year? Or how will you approach the year? And of course, the corollary question is, how will your club approach the year? Now, normally in the courtroom, we'd swear somebody in, right, and make them give the answer under oath. I found that makes me a very unpopular governor. So instead of doing that, and is Evan still here? Because if Evan's the guy I would have sworn in to do this, all right? I owe him a couple, frankly. But rather than do that, make a permanent enemy out of Evan, I'm going to suggest one answer. And it's only a starting point. I'm going to suggest to you individually and collectively that you approach this Rotary year, and I want to get this right, as an exceptional and cooperative team, having fun and doing good. Did everybody get that? as an exceptional and cooperative team, having fun and doing good.
We're there. We're there.
Oh, yeah.
I have some ideas on the fun part, but we'll get to that later. So, how do you become an exceptional and cooperative team, having fun and doing good? This is where the part about being a lawyer becomes a bigger problem, because you really can't deal with that in a talk like this with even more questions, right? So I had to come up with a different way to approach this part of the talk. And I decided to do that by using my hobby, all right? Are there any rock climbers in the room? You don't rock climb? No? Okay. You apparently don't run either, right? But you do like. Well, my hobby is rock climbing. My son gave me that idea, recruited me to do it at the ripe old age of, I started doing this in '59. If you could flip the first board around.
Sure. Let me bring it over.
All right. The problem with this is, with no rock climbers in the room, is how to get you to visualize what the process involves, right? And that's where the demonstrative, now.
Is it this one?
So let's take a look.
Hold on, which way?
You got to get that right.
Okay. That doesn't look right.
No, very wrong about this. This is correct.
It's a sedimentary rock.
Oh my gosh.
Who said that? You are correct. No, it is sedimentary rock. Actually, thank you. It is a sedimentary rock. It is in the Red River Valley in Kentucky. That's the sedimentary rock, right? The other thing you will have certainly noticed is this is not me. Because this guy is 33, at least when this picture was taken. It's my son. Right? Yes. All right, and what you're looking at is, you're looking at the rock climb. The rock face starts here, goes up, and it goes up like this. It doesn't go straight up. Okay? If you look all the way at the bottom, there's another person. He's in kind of a little cave-like area at the base of the route. This guy's the belayer. He's holding the rope. The rope is undoubtedly too thin for anybody in the audience to see unless you're in the front row and you have really good glasses. The belayer, by the way, holds that rope in his bare hands. You don't use gloves for a couple of reasons. You don't get the right grip and you can't feel. Because half the time you can't see your climber. And you need to know when they need rope, when they need slack, and what have you. The rope is attached to a climbing harness. Comes back down. It's clipped through what are called quick draws. And he's on his way to the top. That's to visualize what it is, how it works.
Now, why use this? Well, my thought was that rock climbing and creating and continuing a vibrant Rotary Club have some interesting parallels. Some things that apply to climbing, I think, also would apply to a good Rotary Club. So let's kind of work our way into that a little bit. As you might guess, rock climbing requires a remarkable level of teamwork between the belayer and the climber, right? It certainly requires a basic consensus on what it is they want to accomplish, right? Because if you do something called short roping your climber, you pull them off the side of the rock face and they get really mad. It requires remarkable preparation and planning if you're going to climb, all right? For just as an example, before you ever start up the side of a rock face, you're going to look at your equipment, right? You're going to examine it in great detail. You're going to start with a rope, right? A climbing rope is dynamic. It's not a piece of hemp. Hemp doesn't stretch, right? Climbing rope, because of the falls you tend to take when you lead climb, you may fall 20 to 30 feet. The rope has to absorb that, so the rope will stretch 12 to 36 inches. I brought one.
Or more accurately, I brought a piece of one, because they're about 90 meters long. So before you climb, you do something called flaking the rope.
That means you go through it 1 inch at a time and you look at all of it. And you look for flaws. You find a flaw, you cut the rope up, and you throw the pieces away. Right? The other thing you do, if you're a careful climber, a rope has a life expectancy. Okay, you can only fall 30 feet on it so many times before it will in fact fail. Manufacturers of rope test them, right? They put weights on them, they drop them, and then tell you when it'll break. So to keep track of that, every time you do a 30-foot or more fall, you tape the end of the rope. And when you get to the appropriate number, you retire the rope. I highly recommend retiring it before you get to its rated capacity. It works much better that way. There's other equipment, all right? If you look at this, that rope has to clip through something, right? Those clips are called quick draws. I did not bring all of the equipment you use to climb. This is the last one we'll look at, and we'll move on. But you need to be able, you have to have some really good manual dexterity because you have to hold the rope. This thing flops around. You have to be able to get the rope through the clip, and you have to get it through from the right side. If you put it through from the wrong side, when you fall, the rope unclips itself. Okay. So part of that cooperative team relationship is, to the extent the belayer can see the climber, he looks for what's called a back clip. Right? The risk, of course, is a lot of the time the belayer can't see the climber, you're on your own. You study the route. Right? You don't climb a route without studying it before you start up that wall. And of course, you've coordinated with your belayer, because you and your belayer do need to be an exceptional and cooperative team, because the climber's future, arguably life, depends on it. So, where else might we find a parallel between a club and climbing? Well, climbing presents a challenge, right? You have to want to succeed. And I think a good and vibrant Rotary Club is looking to do the same thing. So I was looking for a photograph that would represent the acceptance of a challenge. This one, you have to look at the face of the climber. And it's the intensity of the gaze, right? He's looking for the next hold. Right? That's the challenge. One hold at a time. And he's clearly looking for it. You can see that in the picture. The other thing you can see is a grin that seems to me to be slightly demonic. But if you also can tell, he's on a 2-finger hold now. Only 2 fingers.
He's not using a rope.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Rope is right here. He's not free, doesn't do free climbing. Mostly. So that was my idea for a good representation of finding and accepting the challenge. I'm going to try not to trip over the board. There's one other thing that I think is particularly good to look at for climbing versus a club, and that is climbers, in accepting that challenge, are always trying to stretch just a little bit further than their comfort zone permits. I think a good and vibrant Rotary Club would be looking to do the same thing. So I looked for a picture that looks like somebody's trying to stretch. And fortunately, they're in the right order. Not holding on to anything here, right? He's going for the next hold. Right? That stretch. He's 6'2". I'm 5'9". He's got a much longer stretch than I do. But that's what a climber is looking to do, and I hope that's what this club and every club is looking to do. Let's stretch just a little bit further. Okay. Sometimes you miss. Then you fall. That's when you need a good belayer, because then you're going to have to start over.
Now, I mentioned having fun. If we're not having fun, we're not going to do this. And rock climbers are the same way. And I didn't have any trouble at all finding a photograph representing that, but I'm going to have to turn it sideways for you. This is a rock climber having fun. He's up about 90 feet, just hanging out and having a good time.
Your club may not want to have fun that way, okay? But you'll find something that's fun, right? I have every confidence you won't have any difficulty with that. So, without overdoing this, a lot of things that a good rock climber looks at, is motivated by, tries to achieve, I think does apply quite well to a Rotary Club. Right? You do need to plan. You do need to develop that exceptional trust and confidence in your fellow Rotarians. You do need to develop some kind of a consensus of where you want to go, what you want to accomplish. You need to be able to communicate with each other, right? You need to want to take on new challenges. If rock climbing were easy, everybody's hand in the room would have gone up when I asked if there were rock climbers, right? If building a good, long-lasting, vibrant Rotary Club was easy, Mark wouldn't be looking for more membership. We wouldn't have lost a net 55-odd members in the district last year, right? So, I think we do need to accept those kinds of challenges that a good rock climber accepts. Good rock climbers do analyze that route. We look for what are called red zones. Red zones are the most dangerous parts. Believe it or not, it's not equally dangerous from the bottom to the top, right? There are higher risk areas. Best example is a ledge. When you climb over the top of a ledge, the rope is useless to prevent a fall because you haven't clipped it onto anything else yet, right? So you have to recognize that, plan for it, minimize that risk. The Rotary clubs need to do the same thing because we're all going to encounter red zones of a variety of different kinds. All right, so what do we stretch for? Shouldn't be any surprise where I'm going now, right? We should be stretching, hopefully to grow our membership. That is Mark's only goal for this Rotary year, for all intents and purposes. He is looking for all of us to find a way to grow a little bit. Now, your numbers are interesting. The official number for this club at the end of the last Rotary year, June 30th, July 1 of 2019, was 59 members. That was down a little bit from, well, actually, yeah, I think I have that right. And I understand, Tom, you're looking for 4 new members net this year?
Is that right, Rich? Somewhere in that ballpark.
I mean, I know, look, Rich, I know you'll take more, okay? But it helps to have a goal.
Yeah.
It helps to have a goal. All right. By the way, back in about 1970, you had 70 members. So now that everybody looks at the governor and says, now he's going to tell us how to do it. And the answer is no, I'm not. I do not have the answer of how to grow the Rotary Club of Hudson. I think it would be somewhere between foolish and arrogant to drop in for breakfast and tell you how to do that. Okay. I'd like to think I'm not arrogant, and I really hope I'm not foolish. So how do we approach that? Well, from my perspective, that has to be and only can be approached from your unique perspective. You know your fellow Rotarians, you know your friends, you know the businesses in town, you know a lot more about what makes this community click and what might make this club grow, expand its reach and expand its impact much better than I do, much better than I ever will. Now, what I can tell you is the district will assist. Okay, we'll do the best we can to help. We do have a very active membership committee. Jim McKee, who most of you have likely met, he's a past district governor. He's the original version of the Energizer Bunny. He just doesn't have a battery, so he never wears down. You have a good AG in Bob Oborn. By the way, Pat Myers has been promoted. She's the district governor-elect now.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's all right. Well, she was your AG, and she was a very good one, by the way. She's very well liked in our clubs. We do also try to help with Rotary International Leads. I'm not sure how many of you know what that is, but today, to join a Rotary Club, you don't have to find the Rotary Club of Hudson, right? You just send an email into RI in Evanston and say, hey, I live in Hudson or I live in Stowe, I want to join a Rotary Club. All right, RI then sends that lead back to the district. In our district, Lance Keema from the Akron Club receives those, and he then places them with the closest club or clubs that seem to be a potential fit. Lance has a pretty remarkable record. Last year, he placed every prospective lead with a club, and in fact, he's been able to do that for 3 out of the last 4 years, and if you look at those records, that's rare. We have had about 15 leads already this year come to the district, and he's placed all 15 of those. So we do try to help with that. We have some upcoming membership events that we want to focus on. We are doing the second annual Tri-District membership event, October 26th. It's in Kent at the Stanton Middle School. We're hosting it this year. It will be about 3.5 hours long. No speeches, no long-winded stuff. It will all be hands-on, small breakout sessions. That curriculum is almost ready to go. I would highly recommend that you have at least 2 or 3 people attend. The capstone of that event will be an opportunity to use the last session to work on a membership plan, whether you're creating it from scratch, whether you are refining it, whatever you're going to do. So it would be very helpful if you had 2 or 3 people there who can work together for that. We are in, by the way, how many folks here know what a Rotary zone is? Pat, keep your hand down. 2. That's pretty amazing because usually it's none. And frankly, generally it doesn't matter because a club never encounters the zone, right? It's meaningless. But we're in a new one. And the new zone had some things that it does differently. And one of the things that it does differently is it has a zone membership institute. And it's a fascinating program. It is a facilitated program that runs for 3 years. Facilitators are assigned to or found for clubs. And there's a process of working up a focused membership plan, both for new members and retention. That requires remarkable resources, so we're going to try to roll that out as a pilot program this year, probably 3 or 4 clubs. Now, I'm going to step aside from membership for a moment. Who's the president-elect for next year? Is that Marilyn? Yeah. Marilyn, you're busy on November 23rd.
I am.
Yes, you'll be with Pat down at the Rotary camp doing PETS 1. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's try to end with a couple questions and a little bit of fun. The lawyer's question then is, as we wrap up, what will inspire the Rotary Club of Hudson for the coming year? What will inspire you as a member of the Rotary Club of Hudson to grow your club this year? As I said, I don't know the answer to that. But if you can work on this as an exceptional and cooperative team looking to have fun and do good, I have every confidence that you will succeed in doing what any good rock climber does, and that is get to the top of the mountain.
This one, the pictures you've been looking at were taken about 2 years ago. This one was taken 4th of July week this year. The first one, that's Sedimentary Rock, that was in the Red River Valley in Kentucky. This is taken in northern Norway, up above the Arctic Circle. This is a traditional climb. The climber on the top is the same guy you were looking at in the other photographs. When he climbs something this difficult, he actually has a really good belayer. This is Hannah. Follow the rope down. There's another climber here, Tracy in red. It's actually a PhD student doing research in Stockholm. Then there was a 4th person in the group. He was on another crag, took the picture. And you could tell that he was having a little trouble because usually the horizon is level. In this picture, the horizon is not level. but they did make it to the top of the mountain, and so can you. Now, I need Tom back up here.
All right.
Evan, I need you up here too. I am wearing today the official Rotary Governor's uniform. This is the official blazer. All right? As you can tell, and maybe you don't know this, Mark Maloney is a lawyer, just like me. As a matter of fact, Mark Maloney and I went to the same law school. We both went to the Vanderbilt University School of Law, and we were there pretty much at the same time. I graduated 1 year ahead of him. As you can see, his fashion skills are limited. If you look at the official $350 tie, you realize they're really limited, because there's no fashion pop in this. But he had one moment of fashion inspiration. He designed the first official Rotary socks. And I brought 2 pairs. All right? These have a little pop in them. Right? And for special thanks for all the help that you provided this year, you can leave it, I'll get it. One for you. And for taking this job on in particular, Tom, one for you. Now,
Hold on a second. I gotta show you guys this.
so
Pick that leg up, Evan. Pick that leg up.
this is going to work well for him. I can see that.
You're laughing.
Perfect.
Now, I mentioned that Mark and I went to the same law school, and this is where I think the having fun part can really kind of take off, because having gone to the Vanderbilt University School of Law, Mark and I both went through the same third-year final event for graduating law students. And this is where the law, whiskey, and fun coincide. This is a bottle of Jack Daniels, in case you can't read the label. All right? Now, why would I bring Jack Daniels?
Why not?
Well, of course, Jack Daniels is distilled in Lynchburg, Tennessee, which is close to Nashville, Tennessee, which is where Vanderbilt is located. And that third-year event is a tour of the Jack Daniels distillery. Now, for those of you who have been there, you know it's in a dry county.
Yep.
You can't even taste it there.
You get lemonade.
Okay. So what the Jack Daniels folks do is they put all the third-year law students, this is a very unwise thing to do, but they put them all on a bus, take them to a facility in the next county over, serve them dinner and Jack Daniels by the water glass, not the shot glass, okay? Now, something that, and this is where the law part comes in, all right? Jack Daniels is not bourbon. No self-respecting Vanderbilt law grad would try to give you bourbon. This is Tennessee whiskey. It is a separate federal classification of whiskey, all right? One of the reasons for that unique classification is because it is charcoal distilled. A little bit of history for those who may not know, the best Jack Daniels ever bottled was bottled right at the end of Prohibition. They left whiskey in the charcoal vats through the entire period of Prohibition. They drained it out and bottled it. And it was some of the smoothest ever produced. Guys, I'd like to tell you that this is one of those bottles, but it's not. I just got it. So, in closing, and I will be done after I present this, I am going to present this to your president. The only stipulation on that is it can only be dispensed with board approval. If there's time you want to ask questions, I'll do my best to answer them, but I'm officially done.
Questions, folks?
They've heard enough. Thank you.
Very good.
Anchor it to the rocks, if anything.
That
The first pictures you were looking at were what are called sport climbing. The bolts are pre-placed and you clip that quick draw, not in this one, in the first one. This one is traditional climbing. In the old days, you would take a piton and a hammer and you would pound the piton in. Haven't done that in 20 years. You carry spring-loaded gear of various kinds. You look for appropriate crevices. You place the gear and you pull on it, and the spring pops. Okay. That's the theory, correct? But to be candid, you have to be very good at your geometry and angles of fall. Because if the fall is an incorrect angle, the gear pulls and it doesn't stay. There's a politically incorrect way that you phrase that. And the bottom line is that the Jesus nut has to hold. Jesus nut. That means one of them has to stay. But no, there's no pre-placed gear on that. To be candid, he's not on a rope where he's at right now because there's no way to belay above that. Any others? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, John. I appreciate the perspective and the advice that you had for us today and teaching us about rock climbing. That's wonderful. There was one thing I forgot to mention in the earlier notices. You all probably noticed the Laurel Lake Blood Drive that will be taking place this Friday, September 6th from 1 to 7 in the community room. One pint of blood can save up to 3 lives. It's an incredibly wonderful thing to do. If you can give blood, please consider doing so. It really is an impactful thing. All right, so that's this Friday, 1 to 7 in the community room here. Next. You've heard me mention for the last few meetings that August is membership month. But I think, let me see, every month is membership month for ICE, right? So September is membership month. So let's all remember that. I want to keep hammering on the fact that it is the responsibility of each and every one of us to focus on membership, to grow this club so that we can make it stronger and do more good in the community. I do want to give a quick, just reminder update. We have 2 folks in the pipeline right now. I have a letter from Bill Libby this morning, who will be transferring to our club from the Cleveland Club. We'll be happy to have him join us. And the second one is Phil Butto, our new treasurer for the Hudson Public City School District. He'll be joining us. He's only been to 1 meeting so far, but I think I can assure you that he is on the track to membership. All right, so just a reminder, I think the best thing that each one of us can do to promote growing the membership of this club is bring a guest to a meeting, okay? Just find a good prospect, bring them to a meeting, we'll handle it from there. All right, our quote for this week seems to be in line with what our district governor was mentioning us. It's from Helen Keller. Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And my final comment is, as we leave this meeting today, let's all go out there and show the world why we are proud to be Rotarians. Forgive me. Got that in before the bell. All right. Rotabuck this week, rousing $16. Wow. And a jackpot of $352.
How about a bottle of whiskey?
I would say there's about, once again, there's close to 25 marbles in here.
No, he picks the ticket.
Here, let me pick the ticket for you.
Take the bottle
I
back.
do this almost every year. No, I'm not in the pot.
All right.
Oh my God.
Come on. All right. And the last 4 numbers are 1732. 1732.
Oh, no wonder you wanted it to happen.
Catherine.
You got a premonition.
Very good.
Setup.
What the heck?
She would want me to certify this. Yes, 1732. Okay,
Okay,
very
hold
good.
it up high.
Catherine, there is a black one in there, please.
Yes.
All right.
Higher, Tom.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Exactly.
You get the money.
Oh yeah, I always forget to give people money too. All right.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, I think that's it. Anything else for the good of the club? If not, I call this meeting adjourned.